I'm sure most of you have heard this by now, but the UK government have just announced that from June 1st, they will allow sporting events to take place behind closed doors. Now, there's no word as yet as to when sporting events with crowds are going to be allowed again, but behind closed doors, that's from June 1st. And that means that in the UK, the boxing promoters can now start planning to put shows on behind closed doors. Eddie Hearn has already talked about how the Dillian Whyte, Alexander Povetkin show is going to be behind closed doors, and they're looking to put that on as one of the first major shows when they come back. But really and truly, outside of Eddie Hearn and maybe Frank Warren, there may be no boxing for a very long time in the UK. Yeah, because the likes of Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn, they, from pay-per-view, could still generate enough money to put these shows on without a crowd, without taking a gate. But the smaller promoters out there, they rely on selling tickets for their shows. That's how they make the money. A lot of smaller promoters, they're not even televised. You know, their shows are not televised. So how on earth is it viable for them to put shows on behind closed doors? It's not. It's going to destroy the smaller promoters, and they were already struggling as it is. So, yeah, boxing in the UK is going to have, boxing worldwide, but certainly in the UK, is going to have serious issues moving forward. And inevitably, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, people, but boxing is going to go into a massive slump. I mean, the world economy is going to go into a massive slump, but boxing, definitely so. And it's really going to change, I think, the way boxing operates over the next few years as a consequence of what's going on right now. But certainly in the short term, as I say, the big promoters, yeah, it's viable for them to put certain shows on behind closed doors with no audience. But the smaller promoters, I mean, I don't know how they're going to survive this, to be honest with you. I think a lot of, and this has been spoken about by several people in interviews over the past few weeks, a lot of the young fighters are going to have to abandon boxing and get day jobs because there's just not going to be enough shows for them to fight on anymore. You know, as I say, the small hall shows are going to be gone for the foreseeable future. And all these young fighters who are coming through, fighting on small hall shows, this, that, and I mean, how are they going to get paid? What are they going to do? Even these pay-per-view shows, right? The ones behind closed doors, let's say Dillian Whyte versus Povetkin, they're going to have to have much smaller undercards. Because again, you're talking about where's the money going to come from to pay the fighters? Yeah. So maybe Dillian Whyte, who has been very generous with regards to the fighters he puts on his undercard, because at the end of the day, when Dillian Whyte is on a pay-per-view show, he is the one essentially deciding who gets paid what, at least to some, or he's the one deciding how much money gets allocated to the undercard and how much money they'll keep for myself. And Dillian has been very generous in the past, you know, by way of putting stacked undercards on his shows rather than putting weak undercards on and try to keep as much money for himself. But will that continue or will that change under the current circumstances? You know, because pay-per-view sales could be down. People have got less disposable income now, and certainly will do over the coming years. So is that going to affect the way Dillian Whyte and other pay-per-view fighters operate? It might. You just have to wait and see. But obviously, it's a step in the right direction, I want to say, or it gives us some hope that at least we're going to have some boxing back from June 1st. Eddie Hearn has talked about putting on behind closed doors shows which won't be pay-per-view, you know, just like some of his prospects, etc. Some fighters on the way up, putting those shows on. And again, yeah, Eddie Hearn can foot the bill for that. He can make shows like that happen because he's got the DAZN money and, you know, Matchroom money and all that kind of stuff. But that can't go on indefinitely. That can only go on a very short amount of time. And, Hearn's got the money to do that. The smaller promoters, they don't have the money to do that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What's happening about.